Hello, I'm Oliver Colling, and this is the My 70s TV Childhood Quiz. Welcome back to the first My 70s TV Childhood Quiz of 2026. Happy New Year to you. 2026, eh? Sounds a bit like science fiction, doesn't it? Although I do remember when Space 1999 sounded very futuristic as a kid. And that was a quarter of a century ago. Not when I was a kid, but when 1999 appeared. Never mind, we are back for Season 7 of our podcast, and this is the 60th edition, if you can believe that, of our 70s TV trivia-related quiz. If you haven't played before, then welcome. It's all quite simple. I will ask you 20 questions over 4 rounds, and each correct answer gets a point. And that's it. So grab a pen and paper and a suitable beverage. It's tea again for me this week. And without further ado, let's begin our quiz with round 1. And this is a round called Dry January. Now, I'm sure some of you will be looking back over what you drank over the festive period and thinking that January is a great opportunity to detox and regain a bit of balance. Well, to help that, this round is all about drinks in TV. Question 1. In the Dad's Army episode Fallen Idol from 1970, which drinking game results in Captain Mainwaring getting very, very drunk? Question 2. What is the name of the brewery which owned and supplied the Rovers Return pub in 1970s Coronation Street? So what's the name of the brewery? Question 3. What was Arthur Daly's drink of choice at the Winchester Club as featured in Minder? Question 4. About whom did Anna Ford say, "You wouldn't have chosen a man who had epilepsy, was an alcoholic, had had a stroke and wore a toupee to read the news, but the combination was absolute magic"? So who was Anna Ford talking about there? And finally, question 5, in the interest of balance, which drink did Alberto Frog, leader of the Amazing Animal Band, always choose as a reward for his good deeds, as featured in the children's TV show Bod? So what drink did Alberto the Frog always choose as his reward? Okay, so on to our next round, which is, unsurprisingly, round 2. And this is our marathon or Fil Rouge quiz. So named after the recurring round in It's a Knockout, or Jeux Sans Frontières, as it was known on its summer holidays. All the questions in this round are about things we've featured in previous episodes of the podcast. Now, as we're in our 7th season, that's an awful lot of episodes to choose from. So, here we go. Question 1. Given this is our 60th edition, in which month of which year was our first quiz edition of the podcast released? So, a bit of calculation time required probably for that one. And question 2. In May 2022, we looked at Australian shows shown in UK TV in the 1970s. And in which Australian national park was Skippy set? Question 3. We said farewell to David Soul in February 2024. What was his character's full name in Starsky and Hutch? So what was Hutch's full name? Question 4. Still in 2024. In July, we look back at the Two Ronnies. The serial in the show, The Phantom Raspberry Blower of Old London Town, was co-written by Ronnie Barker and which other famous comedian? And finally, question 5. Way back in November 2020, we featured the horse drama Follyfoot. In which English county was the show set? So what county was Follyfoot set in? So how are we doing? Halfway through already, and next up is our popular Spin the Wheel and Name That Tune mashup round, which goes sort of like this. I will spin our specially constructed, at huge cost, Wheel of Fate, which will give me a year, and then I'll input that year into our state-of-the-art AI-powered theme tune generator, which will then select 5 theme tunes from TV shows first shown on UK TV during that year. Identify the theme tune, and you get the point. So, let's spin the wheel. And it's landed on 1979. Oh, that's interesting. We had 1979 fairly recently, I think. Okay, let me input that into our AI-powered theme tune generator and see what we get. And here we go with theme tune 1. I hated that show. I found it intensely irritating. So, how about theme tune 2?
Laugh me a laugh, grin me a grin, and then I know that we can win. Dance me a dance, joke me a joke, and blow the clouds away. Come tell me a tune, sing me a song, and we can help push life along. Just you and me, come on and see, together we'll be okay. Follow me through into the sun, and we can smile at everyone. Join in with me, then we are free. Yes, life is a song, just sing along, and then we know we can't go wrong. Just you and me, come on and see, together we'll be okay.
Not a huge fan of that one either, but hey ho. How about theme tune 3? And now here's one for theme tune 4, which many of you may recognise. Finally, how about theme tune 5? Suddenly, here we are, on to round 4 and our final 5 questions. This is our TV Times round, where anything goes 70s TV trivia related. Question 1. In which year was Jim'll Fix It first shown? Question 2. Eamon Andrews is best known as the host of This Is Your Life, but as a young man, he was an Irish champion in which sport? Question 3. Scooby-Doo is a dog, obviously, but which breed of dog is he supposed to be? So which breed of dog is Scooby-Doo? Question 4. Jimmy Perry wrote a sitcom in 1979 without his usual partner David Croft. It was set in a hotel and is often described as one of the worst sitcoms ever produced. What was the show called? And question 5, still on sitcoms. In On the Buses, who was Arthur Rudge's wife? So who was Arthur Rudge's wife? Mrs. Rudge won't do. Which character was it? So that's it. Our first quiz of 2026 is at an end. Now, before we go on to the answers, let me go way back to our last regular quiz where I asked you the following bonus question. On Boxing Day 1979, BBC One gave a TV premiere to a 1968 war film starring Richard Burton, who, according to his colleagues, was drinking about 4 bottles of vodka a day during filming. What was the film called? And the answer was Where Eagles Dare. 4 bottles of vodka a day. Can you imagine that? Anyway, well done if you got that right. This week's question is a pretty straightforward one. Can you name the 5 toys who featured in Play School? And if you know the answer, then drop me a line to quiz@my70stvchildhood.com, and you can use that address for any other comments you have on our quiz. Okay, if you're ready, let's move on to this time's answers. Our first round, Dry January. Question 1. In the Dad's Army episode Fallen Idol from 1970, which drinking game results in Captain Mainwaring getting very drunk? And the answer is Here's to the Health of Cardinal Puff, or Making a Cardinal. Question 2. What's the name of the brewery which owned and supplied the Rovers Return pub in 1970s Coronation Street? And that was Newton and Ridley. Question 3. In Minder, what was Arthur Daly's drink of choice at the Winchester Club? Well, it was a large VAT, aka vodka and tonic. Large VAT, Dave, and put it on the slate. It became quite a catchphrase. And question 4. About whom did Anna Ford say? You wouldn't have chosen a man who had epilepsy, was an alcoholic, had had a stroke and wore a toupee to read the news, but the combination was absolute magic. And the answer was Reginald Bosanquet. And question 5. Which drink did Alberto Frog, leader of the Amazing Animal Band, always choose as reward for his good deeds, as featured in the children's TV show Bod? He always chose a milkshake. Alright, round 2, our Fil Rouge or marathon round. In which month of which year was our first quiz edition of the podcast released? So if you'd been clever and counted back, you might have been able to get to this. The first quiz was released on the 22nd of August 2023. So if you've got August 2023, you can get the point. Question 2. In May 2022, we looked at Australian shows in UK TV, in which Australian National Park was Skippy set. It was set in the fictional Waratah National Park. Question 3. David Soul, what was his character's full name in Starsky and Hutch? And it was Kenneth Hutchinson, or Ken Hutchinson. And question 4. Who co-wrote The Phantom Raspberry Blower of Old London Town with Ronnie Barker? And that was Spike Milligan. And question 5. Which county was the horse drama Follyfoot set? It was set in Yorkshire. Right, onto our theme tune round. Theme tune number 1, that was the theme tune to the Red Hand Gang, who, as I say, I found intensely irritating, but never mind. Theme tune 2, that was the theme tune to the Cannon and Ball show, which launched in 1979, and again, not one of my favourites, I'm afraid. Theme tune 3, that was the theme tune to the Japanese cartoon series Battle of the Planets, which I know was popular with many of our listeners. And theme tune 4 was the theme tune from Mork and Mindy. Theme tune 5, a little trickier, that was the theme tune to Crib, the Victorian police drama featuring the adventures of Sergeant Crib. Alright, on to our final TV Times round. In which year was Jim Will Fix It first shown? It was first shown in 1975. Question 2. Eamon Andrews, better known as host of This Is Your Life, but as a young man, he was an Irish champion in which sport? Well, boxing. He won the Irish Junior Middleweight Championship in 1944. Question 3. Scooby-Doo is supposed to be which breed of dog? Well, he's supposed to be a Great Dane. So well done if you got that one right. And question 4. Jimmy Perry wrote a sitcom in 1979 without his usual writing partner. It was set in a hotel and often described as one of the worst sitcoms ever produced. What was the show called? The show was called Room Service. And finally, question 5. In On the Buses, who was Arthur Rudge's wife? That was the long-suffering Olive, Reg's sister. So, how did you do? Are you feeling smug and self-righteous? Or has dry January come to a crashing end as you're driven back to drink? Whichever, I do hope you've enjoyed playing. And if you have, then do tell your friends. We'd also love it if you could like, rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. That's it for now. We will be back next week with our normal podcast and in a fortnight with our next quiz. Until then, do take care and we'll see you again soon for more from My 70s TV Childhood and the My 70s TV Childhood quiz.